Welcome back. All right, so more news of the day for all you fine people. How can you tell it's trade deadline? A lot going on today, a lot of logos on the board. It's almost madness level. So we'll go through the trades first. Nothing earth shattering with the trades, but of course we know other trades are coming. Brandon Duhaime, a pending unrestricted free agent acquired by Colorado from Minnesota. It used to be a big deal when you traded with division rivals. Now it's not. It just doesn't seem to matter. So Duhaime, 62 games for the Wild this year, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. The Wild finding themselves pretty far below that line in terms of how many points they need to make up to make the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen. But Duhaime, a physical player with 230 career penalty minutes and 193 games played. He can drop the gloves if he needs to. For Minnesota, they acquire from Colorado a 2026 third round draft choice. So is this a sign they're selling? No. No. Trading out Duhaime is just a sign they're moving a guy who's a pending UFA. All indications from Guerin Throat have been that I don't think they're going to sell. Then the Edmonton Oilers and the Arizona Coyotes have had a trade as well. The reason I'm wearing Oilers is because they acquired Troy Stecher. I like Stecher. He's an unrestricted free agent in July in Arizona this year. 47 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. The Oilers also get Boston's 2024 7th round draft pick. Going the other way is the 2027 Edmonton Oilers 4th round draft choice. So this is the second straight deadline where the Coyotes deal him to Alberta. Last year it was Calgary. This year it's Edmonton. And for the Coyotes, they now have 34 draft picks in the next 3 years. Now, of course, they traded a draft pick and acquired one. 20 of those draft picks are in the first 3 rounds. And, of course, this is another 4th rounder they've added. Just so many draft picks for Arizona. And what it means is that over the next couple of years, in the event that Arizona is able to get the on-ice product to where they want it to be, and I would think it'll start improving, those draft picks then can be used to go out and acquire assets at a later date. I don't think they're going to use all 34 of those, but we'll see. Stranger things have happened. The Maple Leafs have waived William Lagesson. This is being seen as cap flexibility. Lots of teams looking for cap flexibility today. We'll see how it all turns out. Vlad Tarasenko was interviewed upon arriving with the Florida Panthers now, and he said his no trade clause, he was only willing to waive that for Florida. This is something people don't pay as much attention to as I think they should. It feels like it's more increasingly the case that players who have no trade and no movement clauses really use that to push and say, I want to go to this team, right? And there's not much you can do as a GM other than you negotiate with that team and you try to make that move happen, or you lose the asset for nothing. So there are cases, I think, where a GM gets less of a return back because the player's only willing to go to certain teams, or one certain team is in this case. So the dragging of the GM is something that I think is odd from fans because they make the best deal they can. If there's no other deal out there, and you hold on to the asset after the trade deadline, then you're burying the GM because how dare they not trade that player? We have to get something back. Now he's going to leave for nothing. What a moron. And then when you trade him, then they're all still out there going, well, that's a stupid deal. I could have got more back for that. The one thing I've always said, and the one thing I would say to people who get into these arguments online because it can get really circular, just say to them, show me your work. Where do you think he should have gone? What would that team have given up? What would the return have been? And how do you convince him to waive his no trade? And then, in my experience, the argument kind of falls apart there, because as much as we armchair GM, it's one of the reasons I don't do armchair GM videos of, I think this team will give up this for this player, because really, in all honesty, it's just throwing stuff at the wall. So Tarasenko's with Florida, makes them even stronger. Last thing that fans in the East want to hear about right now. A minor league deal made between the Anaheim Ducks and the Montreal Canadiens. Jan Mysak, who was seen as a pretty strong option as a steal in the 2020 draft when he was drafted. It just hasn't worked out for him. In Laval this year in 48 games, 13 goals, 7 assists, 20 points. So he's not scored that well. He goes to Anaheim. Going to Montreal, Jacob Perreault. Well, Perreault, so he belongs in Montreal. 21 years of age. He was drafted in the first round of the 2020 draft. This year with San Diego, 31 games, 7 goals, 11 assists, 18 points. So this is just one of those one-for-one deals where you're hoping that it turns things around. And as we've seen with a recent trade of Emil Bemstrom for Alex Nylander, it can work. It's usually in the short term. I don't expect Nylander to keep performing the way he has been for Columbus, but If it works in the short term, that's perfectly fine too. So the Nashville Predators have decided to claim Jared Anderson-Dolan. Anderson-Dolan's an interesting one. There have been times where I've seen some potential there. There have been other times where he's kind of invisible. It does mean that one of my jokes about the Kings is slowly been chipped away at, that they had Elias Anderson, Mikey Anderson, and Jared Anderson-Dolan. So when all three of them were in the lineup at the same time, it was like, I don't know, which Anderson is it? But yeah, Anderson-Dolan gets claimed by the Nashville Predators, and we'll see where he slots into the lineup for them. Carolina looking to make some space. Cap space is important. They have waived Brendan Lemieux, Tony DeAngelo, and Antti Ranta. I would be very surprised if anybody claims Ranta. I've already seen people saying, oh, New Jersey should claim Ranta. I don't know that that's going to fix New Jersey's issues in net. I would think if they claim Ranta, it's because there's nobody else on the goalie market. I did see a question about the goalie market. Yeah, it's been quiet. I don't know why it's been quiet. The rumor has always been that the asking price for these goaltenders is pretty high. Kent Hughes, when asked about prices and whatnot, it didn't sound like he wants to drop his asking price for players. And so, yeah, for teams looking for a goaltender, it is pricey. It's not going to be cheap for them to pick up the help they feel they need in net. Now, the waiver wire is busy today. We've also seen Tobias Bjornfot waived by the Vegas Golden Knights. They, of course, picked him up on waivers from LA. Jordan Osterley waived by the Calgary Flames. Boris Tkachuk waived by Chicago. Tkachuk's one that stood out to me. So Chicago's a team that could use some skill in that top six. We all know this. Tkachuk has not lived up to that potential. It's the same reason that you're willing to trade Anthony Beauvillier today if you're Chicago, because they just haven't had the production from these guys. It can't just all be Bedard passing to Kurashev and vice versa. And of course, Nick Foligno's played well lately, but yeah, some of these guys in Chicago, it just hasn't worked out. I don't think Tkachuk gets claimed on waivers. And the Florida Panthers have waived Evan Cormier, which I didn't even know that they needed to waive him, but he's been waived, goaltender for the Florida Panthers. So figured I'd throw that up there. Now, for Canuck fans wondering what's going on with Jake Guentzel, according to Elliot Friedman, the asking price on Guentzel is just too high for the Canucks. They've been priced out. Also saying that the idea of because, of course, there's 3 players and 3 teams, and it would make sense, right? So Guentzel, the Canucks would love to have Guentzel. The Bruins would love to have Elias Lindholm down the middle. And then you have Jake DeBrusk is a player that I think Boston's willing to move. He's on an expiring contract. So those 3 names have been out there, and this whole idea of a triple, like a 3-way deal. Friedman's saying that that's not out there. He's not hearing that. But again, it's the kind of thing I was talking about, I think, last week, which is where people will look at, okay, what do these teams have they want to get rid of, and what does this team need? Oh, well, these guys can just all trade with each other. So we put it together as fans. Sometimes media puts it together, and it can really get out there that, hey, this could happen. Friedman pouring some cold water on that. But he did say that he feels like with Toffoli out there, the Canucks could be in on Toffoli. Toffoli would tick off a lot of boxes for the Canucks right now. He's a goal scorer on the wing. He already knows the team as well. So the fact that he's familiar with Vancouver, and I think he wanted to stay in Vancouver. I think what ticked him off was, didn't they just not make him an offer at all? Well, it's a different management group now, so he might be happier about the idea of coming back. And I think he would fit in, and I think that'd be great if they picked him up. So we'll see. And yesterday, and in the midst of all the noise around the trade deadline, this kind of gets lost. Lawmakers in Virginia decided no on the arena. They took the arena out of the budget. So now it's up to the governor. The governor can try to, force a vote and try to talk the government into basically funding this. But yeah, the funding, the amount of money, and public sentiment's been against it as well. So I don't think this is going to happen. The Washington Arena, where it is now, apparently pretty rough neighborhood. That's just what I was reading, that the neighborhood needs to be, fixed up around it. The city is willing to make improvements to the area around the arena, sort of as a, hey, if this helps to prevent them from leaving, but also saying even if the Capitals did move just down the road to the arena in Virginia they plan to build, that they want to build up that neighborhood anyways. So it's not contingent on them staying. They're just kind of like, hey, we're going to fix up the area. The Capitals Yesterday, at least, had no comment on it. I haven't seen any comment today either. But right now, it looks like if they're going to put it up, and it doesn't mean the arena's dead. It just means it's going to be more work and it's going to take more time. But hey, I haven't heard anything about the Washington Capitals losing money where they currently are. I think it's just more of a we'll make more money over there kind of situation. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.